I am far from being a financial expert, but I am a psychologist and I know what happens to people when you put hopelessness in the mix over and over and over. And that's why we're looking at just how much is the government taking from us and what are they doing with it that we could actually support. Let's get into it.
So, no, all taxation is not theft, but it is theft when the government takes money from you with no intent to provide you the benefits of the tax dollars that you have just been separated from.
My name is Casey. I'm the Rumble Right Dad, and I am a father of four, as well as being a therapist for more than a decade. And I can tell you that people, when they face economic hardship, they go ham. And that's part of the reason I started this channel, was to speak truth among those who need it most, which in this day and age is our young people, especially when it comes to how the government is turning the screwdriver to their finances. Before the average person is able to spend $1 at the grocery store, your wages, your income, and so much more, your property that you own, is all being taxed into oblivion. And while I can't say exactly what the government does with that might be effective, I can say that when you beat people down economically, that's when people begin to become psychologically non-resilient. They begin to struggle mightily to see the end of the prison sentence of the fervent taxation that's been happening to them. And when they don't have financial options, as has been true among those in Gen Z, that's when you see political upheaval, political revolutions, and people losing their ever-loving mind in a group psychosis, which could be one of the greatest factors as to why we're seeing what we're seeing in the public square today.
Dollars from you must be recompensed in some way in order for that tax dollar to have been justly removed from you.
If you are going to drop a dime at a grocery store, you are first going to be subject to corporate income tax. The producers of farms, food companies, and manufacturers pay corporate income tax on their profits. The U.S. federal corporate tax rate is between about 21%, and then there's state taxes on top of it. If you live in a place like California, those taxes are embedded in the cost of goods and they get passed on to the consumer.
As far as all taxation is theft, so the basic constitutional view is that if you are being taxed and then you are being returned a benefit that is equivalent to the tax, then it's not theft.
Following that, every dollar that you spend at the grocery store is in some way affected by the payroll taxes. Every company in the supply chain pays payroll taxes at about a 7.65% rate paid by the employer, plus a 7.65 rate withheld from the employee's paycheck. This means that taxes are being collected at every employment level: the truck driver, the warehouse staff, the store clerks, etc. The longer the supply chain, the more payroll taxes are coming out.
Shut up! Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out.
Most notoriously recently is any tariff as an additional tax. So if anything comes from out of a country, of course, Trump has negotiated that, if places like Canada are sending exports to us, that there is a 100% tariff or whatever they settled on those goods. So that also, too, is being passed along to the consumer. So that Canadian whiskey that so notoriously tastes good, I guess. I don't drink anymore, but that Canadian whiskey might be costing you 100% more, at least on the tariff rate.
If you're doing it, stop it. Get some help.
Then it comes to the distribution taxes. So distribution and wholesale layers. Every middleman, distributor, trucking company, warehouse operator adds income tax on profits, fuel taxes on the gasoline or ways that it got there, and vehicle registration, tolls, and road use taxes. So we have a bevy of other built-in costs that the government is adding on top of it. And we're starting to see this pattern that it's hard to imagine how they can use all of that money, and how we as a people can stand in an economy like this when it's being taken out so fervently at every layer of the process of getting that good into our hand in the grocery store. Then we have the taxes that actually occur at the retail level. So the grocery store itself pays a corporate or business income tax, property taxes, licensing fees, business permits, and then again, a payroll tax for the people that they employ. You can see why robots or AI or other systems like the cashier, you do your own checking out of your own groceries. There's a reason why that makes a lot of sense, because they cannot or will not be willing to pay that extra amount of not only the payroll salary of that person, but the taxes involved in it. All stores, employees' wages are taxed again, and Social Security and Medicare comes out of that part of the process. And then last but not least, especially because this is the one that we can see on the receipt, so all those taxes that have gone into it beforehand, and now when it actually gets to us, we look at the receipt and we see sales tax. When you make your purchase, you pay sales tax at the register. Is about 8% where I live. Some states like Oregon or New Hampshire have no sales tax, but most do. Some food items are exempt. And then you have income tax, of course, on your own earnings. So before you can even earn that dollar, in order to spend it at the grocery store, you pay a federal income tax between 10 and 37%. A state income tax, some of those are exempt, but between 0 and 13%. And then FICA taxes at 7.65%. So when you spend $100 on groceries, that of after-tax income, you had to earn about $150 before you can spend that $100.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All you gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else in the leprechaun say yeah?
Apart from that, if you have money in the stock market and you make a significant gain, you could have capital gains tax, especially when you take that money out of your stock portfolio. And then estate and property taxes. So if you own property, you're going to pay on that as well. When you buy a $100 basket of groceries, you might think you're paying 6 to 7% in sales tax, but there are dozens of tax layers already embedded in that price, from fuel to shopping to payroll to corporate income tax at every level. The government collects revenue at nearly every point in the value chain, often taxing the same dollar multiple times before and after it reaches your grocery cart. Now, let me ask you, as a conservative Christian man, or anybody on any part of the political spectrum, is the government representing you in such a fashion and doing the utmost with your money that you are willing to pay this amount of tax at every level of the supply chain? My answer is no. And as a psychologist and someone who's researching social psychology and in my master's degree right now, I can tell you this is when societies fall apart. It's become so bloated at the bureaucratic end, and they're so unwilling to do the will of the people in so many cases that this is when people start to coalesce around a group psychosis and begin to lose their minds. This is when revolutions are fought. This is when civil disruptions are started. This is what we're seeing in the streets right now, and it may not actually be because we're siloed political parties that have at each other's throats. It might actually be because the government simply takes too much of your money, which is stifling opportunity and ruining the lives of Gen Z and Gen Alpha as we speak. We're borrowing fun from today, especially the boomers, and we're stealing it from tomorrow, especially the Z generation. It's time to stop, make the government represent us in a way that is actually worth paying for, which would be really hard to do at this point.